Hi, everyone. Welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler.
What a gutsy performance by Aaron Rodgers.
The postseason
Toughest guy in the NFL.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
He's so jealous. He's so jealous.
I'm jealous, yeah. That's what it is. So
He's a tough guy. Come on.
So the Packers earned a first-round bye. You
Yeah.
like that? You like having a bye, or you
Absolutely.
rather go in?
No, Tom,
momentum?
I really like being 1 or 2 seed because it sets a message through the league that you've earned it, and it also sends a message through the league that if you want to win a Super Bowl, you got to come through me. And I think that's what Seattle and Green Bay has done for themselves. I mean, Dallas could have easily have done that, but they had some problems with Philly. But at the same time, so could Arizona. Could have easily have done that. But you have to look at the teams who get better in December. That's when you start to see these seeding. I really appreciate the fact that you can take a week off. Because I've been on both sides, Tom, where we was a wild card, and now I've been on both sides. We have home field throughout, and I also been on the side of just being the number 2 seed when you get that bye week. I really it gives you somewhat of an advantage.
You won a championship game at home and a championship game on the road.
Right.
So
yeah,
and the Packers are going to go this year. They're going to have to go on the road to Seattle.
Eventually. Yeah.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, so let's talk about the game and how big a concern their special teams are going to be. We're going to look at that in X's and O's. It'll be our special teams day.
You're right.
But you're looking at it. What concerns you? Is it the coaching? Is it the players' commitment to it?
Well, it could be a combination of both. But we're sitting here, and you see multiple kicks blocked.
7 this season.
That's
incredible.
Unprecedented.
Yeah.
Because that's not championship material.
No.
And it's hard to cover up that. But see, special teams is what we call special because you have a certain attitude.
Yeah.
You don't hurt your ball club. And this is hurting the ball club.
Well, on the other hand, then they score a touchdown off of it, too.
Yep.
So
it's just one of those things you just keep, instead of both eyes blackened, one of them are blackened.
Right.
But you just don't want any black eyes.
Right.
Michael Hyde makes up for that, but you also got to look at, you're taking points off the board. That's why McCarthy may start going for it at times because if you're going to get that, if field goals blocked or extra points or whatever, it just shows that determination and hustle, you just don't have it.
Yeah, and we're going to show this in X's and O's. If every guy played like Jared Bush and Dimitri Goodson,
they play hard.
Special teams.
And that's the reason why Bush has been the best special team player on the team, because the guy plays hard. Yeah. And especially if it's a guy or guys that don't play that much in the base. Mm-hmm. If special teams is your job, you got to get good at it. Right. And I think it's not fair. And not to mention it was a 53-yard field goal, so it's going to come out low. But at the same time, it's disturbing because if you play a team with some good special teams, they can send you another one and done if you're not careful. But if we said, I'm sure McCarthy says it every week, we're going to clean it up, and it's not been getting cleaned up.
So let's go on to Rodgers and the performance he had. Obviously, he did show that they're a completely different team with him in the game. Which is, I think we knew that.
Right.
But he overcame an injury. What do you think the effect of that was, him coming in that second half towards the future here?
Well, here's the thing about the calf injury, because there were people on Twitter who were saying that he faked it and he's not really hurt. When you're the number 1 quarterback outside the pocket, statistically, you would think that you have people give you some sympathy. That's what I would like to do is run. But to me, this guy has great mechanics to him. He doesn't need his legs to throw. When he came back in, it was an unbelievable, as his words, gave the team a jolt. And he wanted to do that because I think the team feels good with Matt Flynn, but I don't know about he's a championship quarterback.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers came in with 11 for 13. I mean, those are the kind of things that you see from MVP-type quarterbacks. And the guy's just a phenomenal player, and I just think it's disrespectful. And I think people owe him an apology to think that he would fake it. Now, people question, I think a lot of people question all athletes' toughness because we all are divas.
Right.
And that's okay. But to say that a guy would calculate falling down, throwing a touchdown, and then going to the locker room, sipping some tea, and watching newsroom, then come back. You didn't catch that newsroom?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Then come back, get the roar, and go win the game. Man, that's preposterous.
Okay.
I just made that word up, by the way.
Yeah, I think my only addition to that is
Was
that,
what?
you know, I'm not diminishing his injury whatsoever.
Yeah, but go ahead and diminish
or
it,
his
though.
performance.
Go ahead and do
But
it.
guys play injured. There's a lot
Right.
of guys who play. Cam Newton comes back
Yeah.
from a
Broken back.
rollover.
Yeah, I
crash.
agree.
Tony
I agree.
Romo with the broken back.
DeMarco Murray with surgery in his hand.
Right. Good.
That's what guys do.
Really
I
good
agree with
players,
you.
That's what they do.
But my guy on my team did that, but he don't get what those other guys got.
What's that?
A pass to say he's a warrior. All those guys get the warrior
That's all
tag.
anybody's calling him right now is a warrior.
What do you mean?
Rodgers. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, though, Romo gets the warrior
Okay.
tag. Favre gets the warrior tag. All these guys, oh, they're tough guys. But when Aaron does it, and I don't think it's fair.
Okay. All right.
That's why I want him to take the MVP award and shove it in everybody's face, but he won't do that.
All right.
But I wish he would.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So
I know what fair enough means.
Speaking of tough guys, that's what I taught you.
Yeah, that's true.
So Ndamunkong Suh
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
a move, and so I mean we have a photo of this here where he's stepping on Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think he was, in my opinion, he was exacting revenge for the time that you knocked out Andre Royer with that chip shot hit. That's what I heard.
That's kind of
To
funny.
helmet you had.
That's kind of
on
funny.
Andre Royer.
That's kind of funny.
But seriously, what do you make of that? I mean,
It's just like, Tom, if I came to your house, right, and I'm backing up and say I step on your cat's tail, I'm going to look down, and I'm going to apologize.
right.
If you could see him, right, backing up, he knows Aaron is there.
Yeah.
And he did that because I'm telling you, on the field, and I think Troy Aikman said it best, there's only two things you can step on, really, a player on the football.
Right.
And you're going to acknowledge that. Had he just turned around and said, oh, man, I'm sorry, I apologize, whatever, instead of him hustling to the play, he wanted to do that. And if you look at his history, I think that's the reason why they fined him.
Is it worth it? They didn't fine him. They suspended
I mean,
him.
suspended him. I think that's why they
Is
suspended
that
him.
too much? I mean,
No,
is that
no.
a suspension?
He's done it before they Evan Deidre Smith. So he's had this kicking, stomping thing before, and it's a history of it. Not to mention the Raiola kid just got suspended for doing something like that. You would think that'd be in your head.
Yeah.
And this is what Caldwell was supposed to go there and stop.
Yeah.
The knucklehead stuff.
But he can't. He's powerless over Sue and Raiola, two guys who've had that reputation.
Well, they don't need
and
to be on
that's
it.
who they are.
And they don't need to be on the team.
And they're not going to be next year.
And here's a better question. Do you want him on your team? Because I want him before the whistle, not after the whistle. After the whistle, those guys can hurt you
He
by
can
not playing against
He can
Dallas.
stomp on any guy he wants. I want Ndamunkong Suh on
Oh,
my
yeah, I think most
That
people
dude
would.
is a good player.
But you got to get him.
You have to take the good with the bad.
You do.
know? You
But
do.
I think everybody needs therapy. We need therapy. Somebody got to get him to understand that you're hurting your team. Just play football.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
All right.
You got the tough guy tag. You got it. It's on you. It's never going to leave you. But now you got to be smart.
Right. Moving ahead, let's talk about Randall Cobb. And obviously, this guy has, emerged and proven he's worth a contract.
Touchdown machine.
And the interesting part with Detroit was the amount of single coverage they gave to him. I mean, we saw him beat it for a touchdown on a slant route. We saw that 29-yard route. He beat, is this what we're going to see from now on? I mean, if Seattle plays their cover one like they did, or cover three like they did in the first game, and the Packers make it that far, Cobb's got to burn them with that, doesn't he?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, and this without developing a third receiver. Devontae Adams is gone. He's just like so far in the doghouse with those couple of drops a couple of weeks ago. But 18 to me, there's three guys I thought that can change the game, the complex of games. Deshaun Jackson, Victor Cruz, and 18 Cobb. Those three guys, the slot, smaller guys with speed, and not to mention, plays running back. He does a lot for this particular team, and I was surprised that it didn't work out of contract. If they're going to franchise him, that's a big number. But they may have to force to pay him more than Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson broke records this year.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to pay him more than Jordy.
It really is, and that's a stalemate. How do you pay, him more than Jordy Nelson? Jordy Nelson just broke your all-time leading mark.
Right.
And matter of fact, he'll probably break that again. But this season, Cobb has, the guy's on fire, and you have to reward a guy like that. And it's much of the same. He's going to do much of the same if he's in that slot. He's killing people, and he needs to be rewarded for that. So some kind of way they got to figure that out. But he needs to stay in a Green Bay uniform.
Okay, and finally, we'll get more into this next week when we look ahead. But Cowboys, that's more than likely who they're going to play. But how do you see this game on Sunday between Detroit and Dallas? And does Detroit have any answer for Tony Romo?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tony Romo is in the MVP conversation. He's in the top 5, but at the same time, Dallas is the only team that has the intangibles. They have a running game, the best in the league. They have one of the top wide receivers, if not the top.
Not the top, yeah.
They got a quarterback that's very prolific, but at times is known to throw up on himself.
Right.
But this year's MVP
And a
candidate.
great offensive line.
They got a great offensive line. They got a defense that's very optimistic. And that's what I playing with Sean Lee, the middle linebacker. They lost him at the beginning of the year. Got McClain in there. They got everything you need. Everything you need. They're the most perfect team right now. But there's one way Green Bay can beat them, that's with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is healthy enough. He can beat any team. Detroit won't have a chance if they can't stop that run, especially with Ndamunkong Suh not playing. Right. So I expect the Green Bay Packers to play Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you for joining us for another week of 5 questions, and we will be back next
Say it.
week.
A-Rod is the man. Say it one time, won't you?
We will be back next week with the preview edition
Of the playoffs.
The playoffs.
Yep.
We'll see you then.